Hi, hello dear colleagues. The title of my presentation is Ecolinguistic Approach to English Language Teaching. So throughout this presentation, I'm going to address 7 topics. The first one is ecology issues in the English language teaching. I'm sure that it is very surprising to you to include ecology in the teaching of a foreign language. But throughout this presentation, I'm gonna show you how significant is to include this topic in our classes. And in this way, we can make the teaching of this language as meaningful as possible to our students, which is the best way to learn a foreign language at present time. The second topic is the cognitive theory developed by Jean Piaget, who considered that social factors contribute to cognitive development. Then we're going to talk about the origins and purpose of ecolinguistics, how this approach developed, and who were the first linguists to address this approach. The fourth topic is the anthropocentric language, that is the language used by Western industrialized civilization responsible for the ecological issues we're experiencing at current times. Contrary to the anthropocentric language is the biocentric perspective that views non-human animals and nature with a moral position. Then the sixth topic is about research on ecolinguistic approach in English language teaching. Throughout my presentation, I'm gonna mention some researchers who have conducted studies on these topics. Specifically, I'm going to mention 3 of them. As I told you before, there are many research about this topic, but since this presentation is short, I'm only going to focus on a few of them. Then the final reflection will enclose all these topics as our final conclusion. So the problems of the environment in the present century should not only be addressed by academic experts and specialized in ecology, but also by those who are specialized in teaching a foreign language. The cognitive theory developed by Jean Piaget allows academics to understand that learning about ecology can be achieved through different social factors. And we know that social factors contribute to cognitive development. Since ecological issues are extensively discussed in the social media, many studies have evolved to include ecology in English language teaching classroom. So learning about including ecology topics in our classrooms will help our students to develop their critical thinking and as a consequence develop their English language skills. In applying the ecolinguistic approach to the teaching of English, the function of language is considered to establish, maintain, and observe a variety of relationships between all organisms and their environment. This view is contrary to the anthropocentric language used by Western industrialized civilizations responsible for the ecological issues we are experiencing at current times. Um, During the 50s, 60s, and 70s, ecology was a descriptive discipline addressed only by scientists specialized in ecology or only to learn natural science. However, in the in the year 1970, Heiner Hagen, in his lecture "The Ecology of Language", introduced the word ecology in linguistics. 20 years later, Michael Halliday addressed that language is responsible for the current ecological issues. In the year 2016, Sibo Chen, in his work Language and Ecology, a content analysis of ecolinguistics as an emerging research, mentions that central to Michael Halliday's findings was his critique of anthropocentric linguistics. This can be understood in two senses. First, our daily communication refers to non-human animals and nature as mere usefulness, or as a utilitarian anthropocentrism. And also, on the other hand, all these ecological issues are addressed by discourses that support non-sustainable actions. Um, but what is ecolinguistics? In the 1990s, a new approach emerged that relate ecology and language very closely to change the view humans see nature in non-scientific context. This new view of linguistics is called ecolinguistic and was first addressed by French linguist Claude Haguet in his work or in his book La Homme de Parole, or The Man of Words, in the year 1985. A Russian researcher called Emilia Wasicki-Wicks mentions that the aim of ecolinguistics is to demonstrate injustice in discourse contrary to the sustainability of ecosystems. So ecolinguistics not only analyzes the interaction between human beings or the interrelation of diverse language community, but also examines the interaction between human beings and their natural environment. Um, so anthropocentric language of Western industrialized civilization, as we mentioned before, is the cause of environmental difficulties. This anthropocentrism language is demonstrated through the use of terms such as wood instead of trees, in phrases such as harvest of natural resources and wildlife management, to demonstrate the exploitation of nature or natural systems carried out by humans. We all acknowledge that cruelty to animals that we consider pets is socially unacceptable. But, however, the, the abuse and violence of intensive farming and the slaughter of animals we consider meat is totally acceptable. At the same time, we can refer um, uh, we can think of an eagle as belonging to nature, so we struggle for its habitat. However, a chicken we just consider as mere human's food, and we justified the the violence to this type of bird. So we inject these animals, we inject these birds hormones or chemicals. We lock them in cages. We kill them. We brutally kill them. We wrap them in cellophane to be bought by defenders of nature. So this contradiction of language has been transmitted in cultures through the use of language. Um, so what we mentioned above can be illustrated in a simple exercise that changes our perception towards the relationship uh, we have with other non-human animals. So here in this image that you can see, we observe some birds um, locked in a very small cage. We normally refer to them as pets, but what about if we change this term and we refer to them as captives? The second picture, instead of referred to them as pork, we refer as sliced ham. The third picture is instead of calling this meat, we call it corpse. And finally, the image of this donkey, we all know, or we normally call them working animals. But what about if we, instead of calling this animal as a working animal, as we call it slave. So it would be very questionable that someone will be willing to eat meat if we refer as corpse. Um, so grammatical categorization of countable and uncountable nouns in English and other European language are classified as natural resources such as air, water, soil, trees, forest, among others. These are refers as uncountable nouns which justified the intensive exploitation without any restriction. Contrary to the anthropocentric language, um, the biocentric perspective maintains that all living creatures have a moral position. Now we're going to talk about research of the ecolinguistic approach in English language teaching. As I mentioned before, we're only going to refer to 3 of them because the presentation is short. So the first one is the study conducted by Orlika and Stefanovic in the year 2018 explored language learning from an ecological point of view. Professional and social skills are vital for ESP students in an environmental learning base, which relates to a variety of skills combined with significant knowledge of the world. In this sense, ecolinguistics is essential to find the most effective ways and practices to improve students' communication along with transversal competencies. The ecological approach combined previous methods, such as traditional ones that focus on grammar rules, with current communicative approaches. The second research was conducted by Dragoscu and Stefanovic in the year 2017. They look at language acquisition from an ecological perspective. In the ecology of language learning, instructors and students interact and students collaborate among classmates. The development of communicative methods provides significant useful resources for ESP teachers with an ecological mindset. Contrary to minimizing the recent methodologies we as teachers currently use, ecolinguistic perspectives consider them as the basis for practical applications in the classrooms. An ecological approach will combine these perspectives, and instead of focusing on grammar or vocabulary in ESP teaching learning, language that emphasize quality and authenticity will be integrated. Finally, Van Leer, in the year 2004, sees that the ecolinguistic has become a system committed to the analysis of ecolinguistic ecological discourse. Current research has shifted to an innovative area of language teaching related to ecology that focuses on the learning environment, quality, collaborative learning, communication, and the importance of highlighting interaction instead of objects. It is very beneficial to appeal to students' feelings and help them to feel compassion towards non-human animals. For this reason, it is also effective to have our students involved in biocentrism projects such as taking care of street animals, helping injured birds in the forest or at the beach, and cleaning the ocean. As a conclusion, English language teaching instructors and researchers should be encouraged to develop activities or conduct studies that combine contemporary teaching methodologies with new perceptions towards other species and the natural environment through the ecolinguistic approach. So that's all my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to your comments. Also, I encourage you to apply this new approach of ecolinguistic in your classrooms so you can develop in your students the English language skills in a meaningful way, because we know that ecological issues have a direct impact in humans, and we can have our students be involved in projects combining the methodologies that we use to teach a foreign language, such as project-based learning, communicative activities such as forums, role plays, and we can also have our students watch videos on the ecological issues such as pollution, climate change, the extinction of a species, and so on. So thank you very much for your attention, and good luck in your future classes. Thank you.